Welcome to UCF Knightline, your source for UCF sports and former player information.
Hello, Night Nation. This is Andrew Phegley coming to you from the 1148 studios, and this is Knightline number 98. We're getting closer to 100. Knightline is brought to you by the Dever Team, your source for New Smyrna Beach real estate and everything else New Smyrna Beach. Go to www.thedeverteam.com and call UCF alumni Travis for all your New Smyrna Beach needs. His number is 386-690-1636. That is 386-690-1636. Thank you very much to Travis. We appreciate your help.
Trace Trylko. Hello, everyone. Hey, episode 98. You know what that means? It's getting closer to 100.
It's getting close.
I know how you like the fives and the zeros.
Well, 100 is a
that
huge
is a
thing.
pretty big milestone.
And we were just talking a little bit before we, came on and talking about what we're going to do for
balloons. We need
something.
balloons.
I don't know what. But
balloons.
We need to do something. If you guys have any ideas what we could do for our 100th episode.
Hey, what about a mime? Can we get a mime?
That would work really great on an audio show.
It would entertain us. Hey, big weekend for UCF sports. Big win over, who'd they play?
In basketball, that would be ECU.
ECU, big win there for UCF. The women with a big game the other day, beating the Cows over in Tampa. Baseball with a season-opening sweep of Siena. And softball did pretty well out in California. So, pretty nice weekend.
Yeah, women's basketball beating the Cows, number one. That's good. And then
always good.
They were ranked, I guess. So a win over a ranked opponent for the very first time, I guess.
That's good.
That's incredible. That's good.
It's amazing, these new coaches, how well they have done. I mean, kudos. We've talked about this before, but Danny White can make a hire, right? I mean, all these folks have come in and have just hit the ground running.
He's done an incredible job so far. It's almost unbelievable with the way that these coaches are working. It's great. I love it. What else? We have things that we like that DW does, and we have things that we don't like that DW does. I think that this next topic on the list here, the spring game, I guess, is what we need to talk about.
Before we do that, I just forgot to mention we've got AJ Rompza coming up that's going to help us break down basketball. He was with us a couple of weeks ago.
Before I start pissing people off.
I like to tease the guests before you start getting everybody upset.
Well, that's all right.
And then Evan Abramson joins us again. He's going to recap the opening weekend of baseball.
He's going to be our guy, our baseball guy. That's awesome. So welcome to Evan, and that'll be nice to have him. He's very involved in everything.
He did the play-by-play for Sunday's game.
It's
on
great.
That UCF TV network where you can subscribe and catch the games when you're not able to get down to the stadium.
So he watches very closely, obviously, to do that. So having him on here will be nice. So anyway.
All right, now go ahead.
Spring
Tick
game.
people off.
So UCF Athletics announced that the UCF Festival, the events on the Iowa Plaza, of course, are free of charge. But entry to the spring game, I guess that this has happened, a couple times in UCF's history. It's gone back and forth with them charging people to get into the spring game. I don't know. I think it's a mistake, number one. I guess it's free if you renewed your season tickets prior to February 24th. If you haven't, tickets to the spring game will be $5 in advance and $10 at the stadium the day of the game. Why?
Money.
Well, yeah.
They want to make money. But remember last year, Danny White comes in and they set that attendance record, 23,000 plus. I mean, that was a fun time.
This year they're going to bomb hardcore, I believe. I don't think that a lot of people are going to pay $5 for a spring game, number one.
They have not previously wanted to shell out even
and they're
$5.
Definitely not going to pay $10 to go to a spring game. I mean,
it's not good football.
It's not even an actual game.
No.
I just don't think you do that. I don't think it's a good idea.
Trying to make money.
Yeah. Well,
and they're trying. I think the other part of this is they're trying to incentivize the season ticket renewals.
Well,
right. But mind you, if you're on the fence about renewing, the fact that you might get charged $5 to go to the spring game might not be enough to get you to, they've got the deadlines coming up, and then they'll assess where they are. But that's what it seems like part of it to me. Free, I think the lure of the night game and the whole day-long activities, I think you get students out there tailgating. They've been doing tailgating.
I think a bunch of people are going to go to that.
Yeah.
I think a bunch of people are going to be at the outside activities, but I just don't think that there's going to be that many at the... a year after setting the record for the spring game and all that, 1 year later you do something like this, and I don't think that makes a lot of sense, personally. Maybe do it 2 years in a row and then do this. Like I said before with the season ticket thing, when they jacked up the prices of everything, you win for a couple of years, you fill the stadium, which they still have not done. They didn't do it once last year. There was not one sellout last year. And then you jack the prices up. So how about sell out the stadium for 2 games, 3 games? Then jack up the prices. It doesn't make sense.
So the single game ticket prices a year ago were like $20. And now those single-game ticket prices are going to be $45. So I guess that they couldn't give away the spring game for nothing if they're jacking up regular season games to $45. I guess they had to put a price point on it. But it's all about money.
I don't know.
We'll predict it. I mean, I don't think we'll have any greater information between now and when the spring game is. But my guess is they don't draw 23,000.
Absolutely not.
I mean, unless all the students just pour in, and have a good time.
They're getting in for free. They're not going to charge the students.
Well, they were part of but they were part of that 23,000 last year. So if they get a bigger number of the students, maybe.
Maybe. I don't think so.
What it does, though, is it doesn't get you casual fans. Yeah. Nothing they're doing gets your looky-loo fans, your casual fans. Yeah. This is for the hardcore fans.
And it's still, like we said before, it still sets a lot of people out of the game. There's certain people that like what's going on as far as the prices and all that stuff. There's certain people that it helped out. Certain people's prices are cheaper for their tickets now, but there's a lot of people that have been around for a very long time that are not interested anymore paying for season tickets. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm very
prove us wrong.
Yeah,
prove us wrong.
Very excited to see how this all plays out. But
anyway. A friend of mine said, "Well, you can find tickets on StubHub and all of that last year for the regular season games. $10-15. I mean, so." And we 45, geez, but we're not. Let's not rehash that again. I guess.
I'd like to see the numbers on how many people have renewed their season tickets, and I'd like to see.
It's a loyal base.
We're not going.
It's a loyal base. I mean, people that date back to the Citrus Bowl years, those folks renew.
There's
it's
some
a loyal
of them
base
that have not, though.
Yeah, but I maintain what I said when we talked about it that week is that I think they'll end up making more money off of fewer people. That's what my guess is.
I guess if that's what they want to do.
So,
it's all
that
good.
Spring game is set for April 22, 6:30 p.m. And again, $5 if you renew your season tickets. By the way, if you don't have season tickets, I guess it's just $10 for you, right?
I guess.
Just somebody walking up that day.
I don't know.
It's just going to be $10.
It's a big week. April 22nd week.
Is it?
I believe. My birthday is...
Well, say no more.
I believe that's
How
the
much
same...
is the admission to your party? Is it $5 or is that free?
You're
doing a big party?
That's the thing. I got to look at the calendar.
Well, you're going to be, 50?
My birthday is on a Tuesday. Actually, it's the next week that my birthday. So,
50?
Oh, yeah, right. 43. Thank you very much.
You're going to be 43?
Yes.
Going on 50.
I think I'm going to be either 43 or 44. I can't remember, to be honest with you. All right.
So is that party free?
1973. What would that be? 43 or 44. I can't remember. That's what happens when you get old. You can't remember.
You get old.
You can't remember anything. I can't even remember where we're at. What are we doing here?
Get a little punchy. Well, so that's coming up on what's going to be a big week, Andrew's birthday week.
It's actually the next week. It's Tuesday the next week. But anyway.
So how about we shift over to basketball? Big win. UCF goes an 11-2 run to erase a 6-point deficit for the 61-58 win over East Carolina. That was a sweep of East Carolina. I went a little brain dead there in the beginning. Couldn't remember who we played. Good week. UCF crushed Tulsa on Valentine's Day, 71-53. That was one of their most complete games of the year. 8-7 now in the American, 17-10 overall. Did you see the video of Coach Dawkins post-game chest bumping the guys?
I didn't. I meant to go back and see it, but I didn't ever get to it.
It's worth the 25, 30 seconds.
Okay.
He was just ecstatic. A lot of energy. from these players. Finding this just down the stretch now, and it's carried him to this 2-game win streak in the American.
I'm glad that Coach Dawkins has been able to bring that out of him. I mean, that's awesome. He's obviously, the guy is a great basketball coach. I think that he will be even greater when he has a couple recruiting classes. I think he can really, really do something with this team. I mean, this team they're already playing in a group with this conference, in a group of really good basketball teams. They've pulled off some games that we really didn't think that they would, especially with the situation they're in with scholarships and all that stuff, and the depth, like we've been talking about the entire time. Wait till this guy has a couple recruiting classes underneath him and gets all these guys that are sitting on the bench able to play. Good things are going to happen, I'm telling you. It's exciting.
That's I'm with you. I just hope he's here long enough. I hope he doesn't leave us.
That's true. I mean, that's
some success.
Yeah, that's always a chance, I guess, especially, with success. It's the same thing with Scott Frost that we all, kind of worry about. The more successful they are, the bigger chances that they go someplace else.
An enjoyable basketball season. It's exceeded all preseason expectations. Even in the best of scenarios, no one had them doing what they're doing here, competitive nearly every game. And Coach Dawkins upbeat after this win over East Carolina.
It's a great win for us. Great win for our guys. We've been working hard. We've had some chances on the road, and we just couldn't, finish the way we finished tonight, which was strong. Guys made all the big plays that we need to make. And it's really proud of the effort, for the full 40 minutes. Well, you know what? I think we kept our poise. We knew we had a lot of game left. We told our guys, look, there's a lot of time left in this game. We just have to get stops. And then we were able to get stops, and we executed. We came down. We called Matt's number a couple times. He went back-to-back buckets for us. And then A.J. was just so alert on the play where they didn't call timeout on the sideline. A.J. recognized it, took the ball down the court, and went and laid it up, which was a huge play for us. And all of a sudden, you go from down 6 to up 1, and then we were able to just kind of have poise and close it out. It's important to learn how to win on the road in those situations. And you have to hit big free throws. We talked about value in the basketball, and I thought we did. We never turned it over late. And then you have to step up and hit free throws. I thought Taco was huge during that stretch. He didn't do much in the low post for us, but he got to the line and he produced for us. He hit some big free throws. He was clutch. And then Nate did the same thing when he got the free throw at the end. That was big for us.
Let's dig deeper into the week that was for men's basketball with former Knights point guard A.J. Rompza, return guest on Knightline, or as he likes to call it, Sundays with A.J. Thanks for stopping by Knightline, A.J.
Hey, I appreciate you guys having me again. Glad I'm able to get back on the show with you guys.
UCF basketball, 8 wins now in conference. It's a little bit different than we've seen the last couple of years. What are your thoughts?
I think it's incredible. Just what they're doing. This is his first year, and the type of caliber coach he is coming from Duke, and the things that he learned, and obviously, and then trying to install into the new guys. That's something that takes time, but for them to be this far along in his first year, it's actually incredible. There's going to be bumps and bruises along the way, but for his first year and what these guys already accomplished, it's pretty incredible.
And there's a stretch there where they lose some games. They lose that Cincinnati game on the road, and Cincinnati's a pretty good team, and they lose by 10 on the road. They come home, and they've never been a good matchup with UConn, and they put on a late rally but fall short. What can happen to a team when you have some tough losses like that? Because they have responded and now have won back-to-back games, including the road win on Saturday at East Carolina. What can happen to you when you start to lose some games that, you're in a little bit, you might come away with a win, but you still lose those tough games?
You know what? And I'm not going to get super motivational today with you guys, I promise. But it's kind of like anything in life. If you take there's a bump in the road, you can let that affect you, or you find another way around it. And I think that's what they're doing right now with basketball is you're not going to win every game. And you got to remember as well, these guys are playing tough teams. These are the big boys of college basketball, the UConns, the Cincinnatis. These are big-time schools. And whether people say, oh, well, they're not as good as they once were, it doesn't matter. All these guys can play. When you get to the Division I level, every single player can play. And for these guys, you're going to lose a couple of games. My junior year, we lost 8 in a row. It's like anything. If you get down on yourself, then you're going to lose more. But these guys were able to, when you lose that many games in a row, some people tend to just put it up. And the camaraderie with the guys, they're not hanging out as much. This person's fighting with this person. When you're losing, those things seem to come to light. And that's why with what they have there, you could tell it's a special team. They care about one another. And what they're doing right now is just for each other. And that's how you're able to bounce back when you lose 5 out of 6 games or whatever it is, and you're able to bounce back because in college and in basketball and life, you can't really have a conscience. You just got to go on to the next game. And you don't have time to hold your head down and say, oh, we lost this one by 10. We should. It doesn't matter. On to the next game, and that's what they've been doing a great job of.
We'll talk about that a little bit more. When you say that, and it sounds a little bit like a cliche, but we deal with that in our own work world and things where something you don't have a good day and you kind of got to put it aside. But sometimes it's not that easy. How did you as a player say, okay, that was the last game and now I've got to focus? And in this case, it's coming off a win, but they go to Temple midweek. How do you put it aside? How does it not linger with you, especially if you missed a free throw that was important or you missed a shot that was important? How long did you keep it with you?
If I had the same mentality I had when I was playing, I'd be completely different. Because when these guys get out of college, they're going to realize that they thought everything in the world was putting that ball in the basket, but there's so much more to life. And I think that I can bounce off that and just say, listen, everything's not going to go your way. You're not going to have a great game every single game. You're not going to make every shot. You're going to miss free throws. You're going to miss layups. That's part of basketball. People on the outside looking in, oh, how does that guy miss that? How are they missing these free throws? I tell people, step up to the line then. All the people who always thought, oh, I could do better than I could. Listen, people are going to have bad games. That's basketball. These guys are doing a great job of bouncing back. They're not letting the little things affect them. Yeah, you lose a game here, you lose another one here. You lose a game that you were supposed to win, maybe. But all that stuff doesn't matter. You didn't win. You got to wake up the next day and prepare to win for that game. You can't sit back there and say, oh, well, if we would have did this. Yeah, you fix your mistakes after that game, and then you move on from there. That next day, you focus on how to win that game. That's all you have to focus on is that one next game.
Well, with them doing quite a bit better in the conference this year, it kind of sets them up possibly to get, into maybe one of the tournaments. Not the NCAA tournament, but maybe the NIT possibly or something like that. What is it like playing to try to get there and, I guess, starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel? What kind of a mental space does that put you in, I guess?
In a mental state right now, again, people get so caught up in, oh, well, it's not the NCAA tournament. It doesn't matter. You're playing for something. Right now they're playing. They have UCF across their jerseys, correct? They're playing for someone other than them. They're playing for the bigger picture. That's what people have to realize. People are like, oh, well, we didn't make the tournament. It doesn't matter. There's still other tournaments. They might not be as prestigious as that NCAA tournament, but you're still playing for something. Every day, every practice they practice, they're still playing for something. And that's the great thing about basketball is when you play your hardest and when you give it everything you have, there's sometimes you won't be able to control some calls. You won't be able to control some plays, some shots that went in. It doesn't matter. You control how hard you play, and I think that's all that they have to worry about is continuously playing hard, playing for each other, and just keep pushing. And whatever happens to them, that's what happens. But you don't know. Some team that's supposed to win might lose, and if they win a game, that's why you just play as hard as you can every single game, and you worry about the results after.
So much has been made of this year's team with 7 scholarship players, and there's 3 games left in the regular season, then conference tournament, possibly a postseason tournament. What are the legs like at this point in the season for these guys in this last stretch? Is this a tired team, and how are they pulling out the energy to get these wins? What's it like to be at this point in the season as a player?
Your legs are pretty numb at this point. You're kind of, you know what to expect. You're already pretty much done with the season, so you know what to do. But, at this point, it's like anything. It's excuses. You can say, our legs are tired. We got 7 guys. We can't do this. Listen, they're still finding a way to win. And that's all that matters. You find a way to win, and just like life, you find a way to win in life, and you're good. Everything else cancels its way out. And I think for them to have 7 scholarship players, to have a brand-new coach, to have a brand-new offensive, for them to be where they are today is incredible. That's awesome. But there's another thing where you can't settle. Now, just because you had a great season, you did awesome in conference, it doesn't mean the season's over. And just because you lost 5 or 6 games, it doesn't mean the season's over. I just think with what they're doing right now and how they're playing and under the circumstances of only 7 scholarships or not, I think they're doing an amazing job, and I think that there's always room for an improvement. But right now, you just got to. This is basically the fourth quarter. This is where you give it all that you got. You got the people who are, I'm tired. You got some people banged up. But everybody does. It's not just UCF. Every school in the country has people that are hurt and don't feel like they're 100%. But right now is a mentality standpoint. Right now is what you put in is what you're able to give out mentally. You know that it's going to be tough, it's going to be hard, but you're going to find a way if you really want it.
Every guy is different, no doubt, and most of the folks that are listening to us haven't been in the sort of game situations at the level that you played basketball. That game ends at East Carolina in Greenville on a Saturday, late afternoon. and then the next game is at Temple in Philadelphia midweek. For you, what did you do to heal up? How did you treat the hours after the game on a Saturday, the Sunday, the Monday? What was your routine? How did you bounce back, ready to be able to play midweek on the road?
I would say this if it wasn't me, and I'm not saying this, but me, I'm a little crazy. After we came back from a road trip, I'd go to the gym, do more stuff. That was just me. That was me always trying to overdo myself or overdo it. But I think right now, as a mentality, you just got to know that it's everything right now. Everything you have, everything that is inside of you, you got to be willing to give it up for yourself, for your teammates, for your coaches, and just fight through it. Honestly, I mean, right now, yeah, of course it's tough. You're traveling, you're going to school, you're coming back. You're getting back on the plane, you're traveling again. But right now, like I said, it's just a mentality standpoint. Yeah, of course you're tired. Of course, they got schoolwork. I mean, there's thousands of things. But right now, you just got to come in there fully mentally ready to just take over and do what you want to do.
So you're suggesting there that where fans think of the physical wearing down as the season goes along, is what you're suggesting there is that the mental at this point in the season may be more important than tired legs, because just like for somebody doing a triathlon or something like that, you kind of got to push through the pain mentally.
You're exactly right. You just hit it on the head, and that's all it is. I mean, of course, these people are running, but they've trained for the last 5-6 months to do this. So I mean, physically, yeah, you're a little beaten down, you're bruised up. But what I was saying was everybody in the country is. So right now, the people who really win, the guys who make it to the tournament, who do really well, are the teams that are mentally strong. Because physically, you can't. I mean, you put all the work in already. You did all the preseason stuff. You and your team, they ran lines, they did everything. Physically, you should be in the best shape possible. But mentally, I think this is where you lock in. This is where you come into the games. You're already prepared. You know what your body's giving you. You know what you're capable of. And now it's just mentally walking in there already prepared to win.
When you played, how much of your game plan was about what things you needed to fix as a team or as a player versus how much you studied the other team? So they come off the win, the sweep of East Carolina. They're going to go at Temple on Wednesday. In these days after the Saturday game, how much time is spent on studying Temple, which lost with 2 seconds to go Sunday to UConn? How much is spent on Temple? How much is spent on let's correct what we didn't do right in maybe the previous Temple game or just the game Saturday against East Carolina?
Well, of course, I think you always go back and you look at film and what you can do to get a better understanding of that team or to find out who their star players are and mostly do what you can to try and stop them. But it's just like anything. I mean, there's only so much you can do to stop that. If that person's having a great game, there's not too much you can do. That's why you really have to prepare yourself, your teammates for that situation. You can go over the game plan and their schemes and their offense and their defense and all that's great, and there's so much that you can do up to that point. But I mean, at this point in the season, I think you're focused on your team. You're focused on the guys that are totally on your side on that UCF team. Because there's only there's only so much that you'll be able to do against another team by reading and by knowing their defense. But at the end of the day, you just got to go out and play. Sometimes the coaches say, "Oh, this guy goes left," but if he goes right, and now you're not ready, there's only so much planning you can do for another team. I think right now, towards the end, you just got to be focused on yourself and on the guys that are on the UCF team.
So we were talking about Johnny Dawkins at the beginning of this and, saying that he's a first-year head coach and all that. What do you see that he has done different with these guys than has been done in the past, I guess, here at UCF to really make a difference compared to, the last few years?
I think just that camaraderie that he has. I mean, I see all the videos on Instagram that they do, and he's chest bumping them, and I mean, it's a different style right now. It's a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of confidence going on, and I think that he's installing that in them. You got to remember, he came from one of the top, if not the top, programs in the country. So he knows what it takes to win. He knows what he has to do to win, and he's basically been a winner his whole life. And I think that what he's bringing to the new guys and what he's showing them, I mean, it's incredible to have a coach at such a high level be able to bring it in. And for me, like I said, to have him coach UCF guys, I mean, that kind of means a lot to me. Because now, as an alumni, as someone that went there, that played basketball, I mean, the program's only getting better. And I think for what he's done and everything under for his first year is awesome, and what he's installing in these guys.
Thank you, AJ. We really appreciate it. We love having you on here. Real quick here, what's been going on with you? Any news that you can give us about the book or anything like that?
A little bit of everything still, yes. I've just finished the second draft, so I'm actually finishing up the whole thing. I want to have it done in 2-3 weeks. I do want to get back on your guys' show from then, but since last time I talked to you guys, I actually just started helping out with my family's restaurant. I took over that just to try and, do anything I can right now. Like I said, I told you guys before, I'm basically just paying it forward in as many ways as I can without burning myself out. But, yeah, so taking over the restaurant now, I'll help my family with that. Then the book, obviously the other bar we have, and just putting a marketing team together with a couple of people of mine that we're trying to look to explode with. But, yeah, it's honestly, it's a new day every day, so it's something new that's on my plate. But yeah, there's just so much going on. I appreciate you guys always taking time and having me on the show. And obviously anything with UCF, I love it. Also with you guys being so generous and nice to me, I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Tell everybody again how they can reach you on social media.
On social media, I would love if you guys can all go to my Instagram. On my Instagram, it is A, and then ROM as in Mary, PZA, the number 3. And then, right now that's pretty just the main focus. And then after that, I'll get the Twitter and the Facebook and everything. So hopefully on the next show, you guys know more about where they can find more info and whatnot.
All righty. Hey, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it.
No, you guys are awesome. I appreciate it, and enjoy your guys' Sunday.
UCF hits the road again at Temple on Wednesday, February 22nd. Temple is 8th in the American with a 5-10 record. UCF crushed the Owls in Orlando on New Year's Eve, 77-53. Then it's senior night for UCF's home finale against Cincinnati on the 26th. Tip time is at 3 p.m.
Things are definitely getting interesting in the American for UCF. Just the 3 games left. The at Temple, Cincinnati back home, and then they go to Tampa for the game against the Cows.
You never know what could happen in that Cincinnati game either.
They played them pretty competitive on the road, but
did.
you got to. And the games that they're going to be favored in, Temple and the Cows, are both road games. And, that's a big equalizer when you play on the road.
Yeah.
Now look at this American. So SMU's tops in the American at 14-1, Cincy just a bit behind at 13-1. And this is where it's interesting because there's a lot of fluidity between 3rd and 7th. And you can see where UCF's chances are here. If they get 2 out of 3, okay, and they knocked off East Carolina, so that was the first of this 3 out of 4 that's possible, really. And again, not ruling out Cincinnati. Houston is 9-5. UConn, boy, they just won with 2 seconds left to go Sunday at Temple. They stay hot. They move ahead of Memphis. Now they're 9-5. UConn left for dead weeks ago, and now they're just right in the thick of things. Memphis is 8-6, and UCF is in this at 8-7. Tulsa's lost 6 straight to fall to 6-8, and right now UCF is 6th in this, and the top 5 get the first round bye in the conference tournament. And, of course, they split with Houston. They got swept with UConn. They split Memphis. And, again, road game at Temple. Temple falls to 5-10, but still tough to play.
Where is the tournament at this year?
That's a good question.
Where's
the intern?
Yeah, I don't know. Where are you, Jason?
Let me effort that for you. Hartford, Connecticut. Right. That's at UConn's
so
home
it's
court.
At UConn. Yeah,
that favors their run into
definitely.
That. It's still nice to get that first round bye, and you can see where it's possible.
Great. Yeah.
They really could finish as high as 3rd. They could be 6th, 7th. 8th is probably unlikely. So 6th or 7th is worst-case scenario.
Well,
3rd, and you look at the remaining schedule, they've got an easier run of it than some of the other schools.
I just think it's incredible what they've come from and what they're doing this year. It's awesome.
And when schools like SMU and Cincinnati are doing as well as they are, and these are top 25 programs, and they're going to be NCAA tournament programs, a lot of Coach of the Year consideration will be given to their head coaches. But tell me how Johnny Dawkins to be American Coach of the Year.
Oh, absolutely.
Should not be a part of the equation.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He
really?
Should be
I mean,
absolutely.
The most wins that UCF has ever had in the American since joining was 6. Past that on the Valentine's night win against Tulsa, now up to 8 wins. One more out of this. I know, we're not trying to celebrate 500, but when you think about where they were, this is guaranteed to be a winning season. And as we talked about with AJ, there's still some postseason possibilities. You get a game or 2 there in the American. And again, it may not be the NCAA tournament unless you win the entire American. But an NIT field or one of the other, CBI or what have you.
Yeah, I mean,
Come on, Johnny Dawkins.
Getting into any tournament at this point, I think, would be a big deal. Just a winning record in the American. If we can hold on to that, that's a huge deal for UCF. And really following this is not far behind being one of those tournament teams. I think that it's coming. If Johnny Dawkins, like we said, sticks around and gets the players that he wants, it's looking good for UCF basketball in the future.
And women's basketball as well. And
Absolutely.
I would say this, UConn wins 100 games in a row, right? I mean, you can give Coach of the Year, Toriyama, every year.
Right.
But Coach Abe doesn't get consideration for this. They won 7 games last year. I mean, she's got them upsetting a ranked team on the road.
They're on a 4-game winning streak.
I think both of these coaches, strong contenders for American Coach of the Year.
Absolutely. So switching to women's basketball a little bit, the Knights are on a 4-game winning streak after a 79-51 win over East Carolina on Saturday. That comes on the heels of beating the Cows over in Tampa that we talked a little bit about already. Final on that one, 66-62, the Knights' first win over the Cows since 1980, and the first win for women. I know, that's crazy.
1980.
And the first win for the women over a ranked opponent in the Division I era. That's crazy. It's awesome. UCF is now 7-6 in the American and 17-9 overall.
Very similar to the men, aren't they? With the records?
Program. I mean, took the women's program. Coach Abe took something that was not good and made it. I'm not going to say made it great
essentially
yet,
the same players. The same players as last year.
It's kind of the same thing that Dawkins has done. I mean, a lot of those guys were here, and they didn't produce nearly what they do for him and for Coach Abe. It's awesome. I'm ecstatic about that. I mean, as ecstatic as I can get about women's basketball, I guess.
But I want them to do well, and
absolutely.
they are doing well.
And it's getting to be where I've walked into the arena, early for a basketball game, and there's been a women's basketball game going on before, of course, and literally like 3 people were there that weren't working.
They're going to have
media.
to do a little bit to generate some more.
Well, I'll tell you, if they have seasons like they're having this year and continually to knock off some teams that they weren't expected to knock off, it's coming as well. And I mean, it's exciting for UCF athletics, period.
And not a good weekend for East Carolina, huh?
Yeah.
They lost to both of UCF's programs. And, I mean, I really think, we'll see, we're a couple weeks out from that, but tell me why these two, Dawkins and Coach Abe, aren't considered Coach of the Year.
Yeah, and I forgot to mention, UCF picked up 6 points in that War on I-4 rivalry thing. UCF now leads 24-15.
Doesn't that sound nice?
That's a wonderful thing. Anytime that we can beat the Cows, it's a good thing.
So the announced crowd for the women's game, 2,453. Now, they normally do a big crowd with the UConn, and that place is nearly all the UConn fans. They'll do 5,000 people or what have you for that. 2,453 is not bad.
That's a lot better than 3. Like I've witnessed before.
Yes.
I don't know 3, but what are the men doing as far as attendance? The game that I went to, it wasn't horrible. I mean, there was quite a few people there that UConn game.
They're right in the middle of the pack.
Of course, there's UConn fans there, but
middle of the pack on the American in attendance. They're right around 5,000. That's about half the building. And Valentine's night is a tough night. They did about 3,500.
Yeah.
So that's a tough night.
I can tell you, if they keep winning and, do like what we expect them to do next year, that arena is going to get small when it starts to sell out. It's going to get very small.
They need to build some buzz in the community. It's the best basketball that's being played right now.
There could be
in this city.
Yeah. Definitely.
Huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
UCF's more exciting to watch than the Tragic.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Come on. Taco Fall and everything else that's going on.
What did you call them?
The Tragic.
The Tragic, not the...
Oh,
that's
horrible.
Funny. I've never heard that before.
Oh, they're horrible.
But do they still play in Orlando?
Yeah.
I don't even...
Downtown.
Do they?
Yeah.
Really?
What, yeah, completely out of the loop on the Magic?
Yeah, I thought they moved.
No Magic there. 20 wins.
I thought they
Magic.
moved to St. Pete.
Remember when they were threatening to move to Kansas City?
Were they really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, Kansas City needs a basketball team.
They built an arena.
Yeah.
And then
beautiful.
The Magic said they weren't really going to go there, but they went and checked it out.
I'm sure they did. Yeah. That's fine.
And then they got themselves a $500 million stadium out of it.
Yeah. Well, and they have a beautiful arena there. in Kansas City, and the arena, the Amway here is beautiful.
So we're ahead in that war on I-4 points, which is nice. And you get the whole 6 because they don't play 2 times. So they get the whole 6 for playing and winning over there.
I can't remember. There was something I was going to ask.
See,
I was going to add to this.
Ever since we learned you were turning, 50?
I don't know.
43.
I don't even remember.
Hey, Knight fans, this is Jeff Sharon.
And this is Eric Lopez.
And when you're not listening to Andrew and Trace with the Knightline podcast, make sure you listen to our show, the Black and Gold Banneret podcast.
Jeff and I come at you every week to keep you updated on all UCF sports, from football and basketball to volleyball and softball.
And we'll also have special guests, including coaches and former players from across the UCF sports spectrum.
We'll dive into all the latest news and stories, and we'll get you ready for the upcoming week in UCF sports.
Subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, and TuneIn Radio.
And follow us on Twitter at UCF_Banneret and at blackandgoldbanneret.com, where we also post some pretty cool features you'll want to read.
It's the Black and Gold Banneret podcast with me, Jeff Sharon.
And me, Eric Lopez.
Part of blackandgoldbanneret.com.
And now back to Knightline Podcast with our buddies Andrew and Trace.
The Greg Lovelady era off to a 3-0 start after the Knights swept Siena on opening weekend. Strong starts and wins Friday for hurler Robbie Howe, Saturday for starter Juan Pimentel, and UCF hopes it has found its Sunday starter in Jason Barr, who's, believe this or not, he's been on and off the roster. It's previously cut by then head coach Terry Rooney, brought back. He went 4 innings Sunday, gave up 2 earned runs on 5 hits.
And then Terry Rooney gets cut.
yeah, it's Jason Barr who's playing.
Yeah, wow. That's
and
crazy.
the offensive standout, Eli Putnam, leadoff home run Friday, another round-tripper Sunday. Good start for UCF baseball.
Yeah, Trace, you were out there on Sunday, and you asked Coach Lovelady what he thought of his team after this weekend's play.
I just like the way we compete. I think that's the biggest thing. I've seen all the talent and all that and how we practice, but just haven't been able to see how competitive we are when we get in these types of situations. So good to see the guys go out there and compete. I thought we did a good job. I didn't feel like we gave up at all in at bats. Down 0-2, we fought, worked some good counts, got some hits out of that, some walks. So it's good to see the guys really compete in the situation. I didn't feel like anybody underperformed what I was expecting. And so that's good to know.
Let's go around the horn with a man who joined us last week to preview the 2017 baseball season. He's Evan Abramson, sports editor of the Central Florida Focus, and the guy, by the way, doing play-by-play during UCF's 7-2 win over Siena Sunday. Evan, thanks for jumping back on the Knightline.
Appreciate you having me on the show.
So you had a little bit of a different view. What were you doing play-by-play for, so fans can follow you?
Doing play-by-play and color commentary for UCFKnights.tv, the online streaming service to watch a lot of UCF sports if you can't make it to the games.
Gotcha. So the traditional, it seems like every year, but for how much longer, not sure, we play Siena at home in the opening game sweep. What are your observations? They put up a lot of runs on Friday night, 17 on Friday, tapered off significantly, it seemed, over the next 2 days. But all in all, that's what you want, is a 3-game sweep of Siena. Yeah,
well, let me be clear for most UCF baseball fans, or for any fans of UCF in general, the 3-game sweep does not mean UCF is going to go undefeated or have some spectacular year, for all we know, based on this sweep by itself. They had a great opening game. They belted out 17 runs, as you said, and the pitching staff did great. You saw a great performance by Robbie Howell in that first game, 5 strong innings. He had a couple strikeouts and only gave up 3 runs. But the real test comes once you play opponents like UF, Florida State. You play schools like Florida Gulf Coast or Bethune-Cookman, schools like that. You can't base it off of the school that you play every year in the beginning of the season and wind up sweeping. Just like last year, as Matthew Micah was the hero of that series, especially in Game 1 where they came back from behind and scored 5 runs in the later part of that game. You just really can't judge it based on the opening series, and I think that it's going to be a really test of time to see if it's truly about the culture change that Coach Greg Lovelady has brought to the team, or if it's just another copycat move of last year and the years before.
So 10 runs in the first inning on Friday night. How does that happen? I mean, what sparked that, and how did that all play out?
Well, it all started when a couple of key hits by UCF's players started off with that leadoff home run by Eli Putnam in the first inning. It really got the movement going. And something that Coach Lovelady had talked about is when the offense gets hot, he wants to keep them back on the field, which means Robbie Howell has to go out and really just silence the offense of Siena and let the offense come back out, which he did. But, I mean, you see guys, he had 14 batters that first inning. 13 batters. And you had Eli Putnam, you had Ryan Kryle, you had all these guys getting hits, everyone that we expected to get hits, and it just kept on going and going and going. And it was just insane of how quickly the pace of the game was, but at the same time how long it was. You're talking about a half inning that took 28 minutes to complete for UCF's offense, and that was I want to call it a spectacular showcase of offensive firepower for UCF, showing that the offseason wasn't just about switching coaches, that the players also worked out and had gotten in shape and really put the pedal to the metal.
As you join us, hopefully, week to week during baseball season, we'll start to see some trends develop. But again, just in 3 games, it does feel like going into the season, and now with that weekend sweep of Siena, the UCF has a good 1-2 punch in the pitching of the Friday starter and the Saturday starter. Juan Pimentel did well on Saturday. What's your feeling watching those two guys, Robbie Howell and Juan Pimentel, come out and do so strong in the first series of the year?
Well, I mean, as I said, Robbie Howell, you expected that. He's your number one guy, and he just had a great game. Other than that 5th inning where he had some trouble, where he gave up those 3 runs on a couple hits, he just had a spectacular game, and you couldn't really ask for anything else from your number one starter. I didn't get a chance to watch the Saturday game. I had some personal issues I wasn't able to be there for. But, I mean, I remember him from last year, and he's your number 2 guy. He's the guy that's going to get you some strikeouts. He's got great command of all. And even he said in the post-game interviews when I was reading up on some coverage, is that he felt like he didn't have his best stuff, and yet here he is going 5 innings at least, if I'm correct. I believe he went 5 1/3. And he had good command. He had the speed. He has the velocity, and he was able to contribute to that pitching duel that UCF wound up winning after getting some runs later in the game. And I think even if you take it a step further, that Jason Barr, this guy, this great story of being cut on and off and finally coming back to the team, and this is his first real start. He had maybe 1 inning of actual pitching work, I believe, in his whole UCF career, and now he got his first start to earn the weekend job, which is a big honor for UCF baseball players. And he had himself a great game as well. I mean, it was similar to Robbie Howell, where aside from 1 inning of trouble, he was able to really cushion the UCF offense and give them time to get started, as we saw, which kind of led to this victory today. He was able to go strong enough for a while, then the bullpen came in, and eventually, even though he gave up that home run and a couple hits here and there, it was just, let's get back out there, forget it, it's one moment, and he did that, and he gave UCF a chance to come back and win that game.
If you're Greg Lovelady, you definitely like that 1-2 punch in the Friday and Saturday starter. And if Jason Barr, who you just mentioned, can come up and be strong on Sunday, boy, he's got to like what he has in a rotation for those 3 games coming up every weekend during the season.
Absolutely. I mean, even you have to look past that. The bullpen even had a great game today. I mean, one guy in particular, Kevin Craig and I, the play-by-play announcer who was helping me out today, one guy that we were just astounded by, Jordan Shefts. I mean, he just had strikeout upon strikeout. And there was even 1 inning today where the bullpen had a chance to get 4 strikeouts in 1 inning based on the rule of he's allowed to run to the base, and because of the pass ball, it still counts as a strikeout in the books, but he's able to get the first, so I guess it would technically be an error. But the bullpen has just been lights out this whole series, and I think that's the biggest change that we're going to see, and that's going to be one of the key fundamentals is going forward is how long can this bullpen stay active and stay productive and stay dominant, and the depth of the lineup and how the offensive power can step up and really cushion and be the opposite side of the formula, pitching equals batting and batting equals pitching, to get those wins.
So last time we talked to you, you hadn't actually got to see, and none of us had got to see Coach Lovelady coach this baseball team. What were some of your observations of the way that Coach Lovelady made decisions and things like that this weekend?
I think he's a great coach. I mean, there were some calls today that I was a little shaky on that maybe I wouldn't have done, but then again, I'm not the baseball coach for UCF. I'm the play-by-play announcer, and it's a different perspective from the press box and on the field. But I mean, I think he made a lot of great calls. He made the right decisions. He took Robbie Howell out at the right moment instead of letting him go, maybe get into some trouble later and get his stats in trouble. He decided to take him out. He did a good job. He let the bullpen come in. And I think he's doing the right thing where you're avoiding injuries by, instead of pushing your players to go as far as they can, taking them out, let them be happy with the performance they have, build their confidence up, and you let your bullpen take care of the rest. Even on offense, you look at guys, he's letting guys like Eli Putnam and Cam Gellinger and Brendan Bozeman and Ryan Kryle, the guys who are really helping out this team, letting them get all the at-bats they need and to get the work in For example, Eli Putnam, 2 home runs so far in the season, had 4 total last year. And then he's bringing new guys in, the freshmen, the sophomores, and the guy who don't get a lot of playing time, bringing them into the lineup, letting them even get in that bat. And I think he's just trying to give everyone his fair share of time and giving everyone a new start. And I think that's really important as a coach. And I think it's a really admirable thing as a college coach, is that you're trying to give everyone out some playing time while being successful on the field.
Yeah, and if the American gives out a Player of the Week on offense recognition for the week, you got to think Eli Putnam is on the short list of consideration for that. If you look ahead to the week, the second week of the season, 4 more home games, Tuesday with North Florida, then a weekend series with Manhattan. If we're able to talk with you again a week from now, are we looking at a 7-0 UCF team? And if we're not, is there a disappointment in that?
I think that it's definitely possible. I think North Florida is going to be their biggest matchup, but I think it's also a must-win if we're going to see any chance of UCF having any chance at all against UF. I think that North Florida is a good test for any team, and you saw a lot of teams around the American today or the past couple of days losing, whether they're starting out the series 3-0 like UCF or 2-1 or 1-2. I don't think there was anyone starting out 0-3. I could be wrong, but I think that North Florida, as you guys said, is going to be a good test. I know one player on the team, or whether he was on the team, played for the high school team that I reported on. So they have some good talent I've seen, and I've done some early research on them. And I think it's going to be all about the pitching and how UCF responds after this opening weekend, whether they get too confident and get too cocky, or they just keep on working hard and following the instructions of Coach Lovelady. I mean, one thing I noticed today is Eli Putnam was saying in his post-game interviews that they love him. I mean, they're all rallying behind him, and they kind of felt a responsibility to win all 3 games this weekend for Coach Lovelady. I mean, they are saying that he's done so much for them in terms of basically rebooting their systems and giving them a new identity as a team and giving them a new sense of fitness and a new sense of how to have fun while playing the game and winning at the same time. That they just felt responsible for delivering him 3 W's and starting off the Coach Greg Lovelady era strong.
So there's a weekend game series, a 3-game series with Manhattan slated to begin on Friday. What do you know about Manhattan?
Not much. I haven't done a lot of research yet. I'm still getting past the 3-game sweep of this past weekend, but I'll definitely be looking into them starting tomorrow and getting some previews up on CentralFloridaFocus.com.
I don't know. Are they from Manhattan, New York?
They
Is
are
that
from
the
Manhattan.
I don't know.
Evan, do you know their nickname?
I do not.
The Jaspers. There.
The Jaspers,
I'll save you some research time. The Jaspers. Let me ask you this question. Coach Lovelady said, he's got to see what these guys are doing out on the field when the lights are on. And now we get the first opportunity to see a midweek starter. And on Sunday, he said Chris Williams is going to pitch. That's a big moment. We, in years past, things trailed off after Friday, Saturday. Sunday seemed to always be a mystery, and then it was bullpen by committee for the entire game on Tuesday or Wednesday start. So it's kind of a big game for Chris Williams to go out to the mound, because he'd presumably be a starter in the Gator series the following week.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially if they can establish a 4-man rotation at the least. They're already surpassing what they had last year in terms of a constant rotation. Last year, if I remember correctly, on Sundays, you'd have the issue of, all right, well, who do we have playing? And then let's only let him go 3 or 4 innings, so maybe he'd get in some trouble, or he was supposed to pitch the next day or the previous day, or the pitch count was getting too high. But I think this year they have enough pitchers, number one, in terms of rotation, and enough pitchers in the bullpen that they can let them go as far as they need to. And you've even seen in terms of Ryland Thomas. And Ryland Thomas today came out on the mound after playing in the actual field, producing on offense. And he came out today and he had a great sense of command of the strike zone and had a lot of velocity on his pitches and had a decent breaking ball. And we were both kind of, myself and Kevin Craig, kind of surprised at what we were seeing. Like, we didn't really expect this to happen based off of last year.
All right, so I'm going to put you on the spot again here real quick. If you could pick an MVP for this week, who would that player be? I think I know who it's going to be, but who would that be for this week?
You're putting me on the spot, and I'd have to say right off the bat, the first person that comes to mind would be Eli Putnam. Just he had that leadoff home run, got stuff going, and then the home run today. But another guy I think that would be big name for the MVP, maybe you're looking at Brendan Bozeman, or even if you want to go for maybe a pitcher, Robbie Howell, just getting the rotation going and helping out the team. I mean, it was just great performances by a lot of guys, but I'd have to say Eli Putnam deserves it. Maybe even if you want to say Cam Gellinger, I think a lot of guys on this team had great games.
Well, get used to that question. That's going to be one that I'm going to ask every week now. So while you're out there calling games and watching, just be prepared to answer that question from now on. It'll be kind of fun.
Absolutely. I mean, and you know what? I mean, I can even throw in one more name for you, and I think I just don't know if he gets it based off of today's performance or yesterday's, but someone who I definitely would say had a really nice performance, Luke Hamlin, 1 home run shy of the cycle, 4 for 4 on that opening game, and 4 RBIs. So I think he is also someone you can maybe consider for helping out, and also had quite a few defensive plays.
So more information about your Manhattan Jaspers. They're in New York City, New York. They are members of the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference. They were conference champs in 6, 11, and 12, and they went to the NCAA tournament in each of those years. And they play their games in a 4,500-seat stadium in Fishkill, New York.
Oh, I know where Fishkill is.
You know where Fishkill is?
Yeah, I totally know where Fishkill is.
We could also play Stump Evan. Tell us something about the following weekend's opponent. See, you're going to be all prepared now every week.
It's all good. Well, Evan, thank you very much for talking to us about baseball. We'll look forward to talking to you about baseball again soon. We appreciate it.
Absolutely, and I'll have to have extensive knowledge of every team on the schedule now, knowing the locations and the mascots. You guys put me on the spot a couple times.
Yeah,
they're playing.
I'm gonna have to get some revenge and maybe stump you guys a little bit.
There you go.
They're playing Stony Brook ahead, and Bradley, and Dartmouth. So
it's funny. I mean, Stony Brook, I know of because my younger brother just took a tour there for college. So I did know Stony Brook.
It's interesting when baseball season comes around because there's these little schools, that travel to play baseball that a lot of people don't know about. So it's kind of fun when we're playing these teams to learn little facts about them. So
absolutely.
Fun fact of baseball season at UCF. Well, thank you very much. As I said before, we really appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Really appreciate you having me on the show.
UCF's first midweek game, Tuesday night the 21st, when North Florida comes to Jay Bergman Field. Speaking of whom, former UCF coach, longtime UCF coach, was out at the ballpark for the first time since his unceremonial dismissal nearly a decade ago. But it was nice to see Jay Bergman out at the ballpark named for him.
Did they actually,
No.
They didn't do anything for him.
No, he was
just in the stands.
He was in the club with some of those folks, the members of the dugout club.
Oh, okay.
Socializing. First pitch Tuesday, 6:30, then another 3-game home swing. Manhattan comes to town over the weekend, and we've now learned that Manhattan is, in fact, the Jaspers.
Absolutely. Softball splits a pair of games Friday on the road in California at the Mary Nutter Classic. A walk-off win over Cal Poly, 1-0 loss to number 8 UCLA. Saturday's games got washed out by rain. UCF is 3-4 on the season. Up next, another road swing. This time the Knights are heading to Tuscaloosa, Alabama for the Easton Bama Bash, the makers of the bats, Easton.
Look at you.
With
good.
Games against Gardner-Webb, Alabama, and Texas Tech. Some SEC action going on.
They know how to schedule over in softball, don't they?
Yeah.
No knock on Siena, and Coach Lovelady has kind of indicated, some talk that maybe he's going to schedule a little bit tougher opponents.
I just wish all these teams would play us in football.
Yeah, but I give softball credit. They know how to schedule. Taking a look at your Knightline planner, women's golf continues play at the Sugar Bowl Classic in New Orleans, February 20th and 21st. Women's basketball heads to New Orleans, too, taking on Tulane the 22nd before returning home on the 25th when SMU comes to town. Tip time on that home game is 2 o'clock. Women's track takes part in the Americans Championship in Birmingham on the 24th and 25th. Men's golf tees off at the Haight in Ponte Vedra Beach, 24th, 25th, and 26th. Women's tennis home again. Florida Atlantic, that's 5 p.m. on the 24th at the USTA complex at Lake Nona. The Knights then host Liberty on the 25th at 5 p.m. And men's tennis is heading to Texas. They head to Fort Worth on the 25th, take on TCU, then at SMU on the 26th.
There are so many ways to connect with Knightline. You can like us on Facebook at Knightline Podcast or follow us on Twitter at UCF_Knightline. Check out our website at www.ucfnightlinepodcast.com for recruit spotlights, archived episodes, and more. Or, of course, you can always call us at 407-401-9184. That's 407-401-9184. Listen whenever and wherever you are on YouTube, SoundCloud, Stitcher, iTunes, or tune in. Go Knights and charge on!
And now, news and notes from the world of UCF sports. It's a three-peat for Anne-Marie Blaney, the American's Track Athlete of the Week for the third time this season, during the season in which the redshirt senior has had 3 school records.
File this under new coaches with success. With wins over North Florida and Florida Gulf Coast, women's tennis moves to 8-1 on the season.
And the men are doing pretty good, too. They moved to 6-1 with wins over Florida Atlantic and Tennessee Tech.
Number 17th ranked women's golf in a tie for 9th after the first round of the Sugar Bowl Classic in New Orleans.
Men's golf tied for 7th at the Gator Invitational in Gainesville.
Welcome to Paul Souders, new assistant men's soccer coach. The 2-time Far West Region Assistant Coach of the Year comes to the Knights after spending 9 seasons at New Mexico.
And finally, some football news. Congratulations to former Knight Charlie Huglet, who has now inked a 6-year contract to keep long snapping for the Cleveland Browns. That's awesome to see that.
Tough team, but good for him that he remains in the pros.
All right, this has been episode number 98 of Knightline, brought to you by the Dever team. I'm Andrew Phegley.
I'm Trey Trylko. Go Knights!
Charge on.
UCF, charge on to the field. With our spirits, we'll never yield.